Good evening. This is the Board of Selectmen and the Wage and Personnel Board remote meeting on February 22nd, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Please ask if anybody is recording this meeting and announce that the LakeCAM is cable is taping this meeting as well. In accordance with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general law, chapter 30A, section 20, relating to the 2020 COVID-19 outbreak emergency, the February 22nd public meeting of the Board of Selectmen shall be physically closed to the public to avoid any group congregation. However, to view this meeting in progress, please go to facebook.com/LakeCam. You do not need a Facebook account to view this meeting. This meeting will be recorded and available and viewed at a later date at lakecam.tv. And also, we will have the chat feature on. So if there's anybody that wants to ask any questions or make any comments, you certainly can do that. Preliminary matter, this is Rich LaCAM, the chairman of Lakeville Board of Selectmen, and permit me to confirm that all members and staff and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Selectman Day.
Present.
Selectman Fabian.
Present.
And Executive Assistant Treasurer Tracy Craig McGee.
Here.
Okay. This is an open meeting of the Lakeville Board of Selectmen and is being conducted remotely, consistent with the governor's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. As such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of the public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order in which you can find and posted with the agenda materials of this meeting allows the public to meet entirely remotely as long as reasonable public access is afforded to the public so they can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Okay, first item on the agenda is announcements. The town clerk would like to remind residents of the importance of returning the census that has been sent out. The census is very important and is used for several things, including for all COVID-19 vaccination clinics. If you have not received your census yet, please call the town clerk's office. The town clerk, Lillian Drain, would like to announce that the annual election is scheduled for April 25th, and the deadline to obtain and submit nomination papers has passed. The nomination papers have been needed by February 11th, 2020, and submitted by February 16th, 2021, February 16th, 2000. If anybody is wishing to run as a write-in candidate, please give the town clerk's office a courtesy call or email her at ldrain@lakevillema.org. Okay. The first step for running as a write-in candidate is checking with the local election officials of particular technicalities involved. The town clerk's office will be a guidance on general requirements that is needed for a write-in candidate. If anybody has any questions, please give the town clerk's office a call at 508-946-8800. The treasurer would like to remind people that the excise tax bills have been mailed and are due on March 10, 2021. And if you have not received your bill yet, please contact the treasurer's office at 508-946-8801. Okay, next on the agenda is the ascertainment hearing, meeting with the advisory cable commission having to do with the Verizon cable license renewal. So Bob, we do not have.
No, I guess Tom and Walter couldn't make it.
Okay. I'd like to introduce the chairman of the advisory cable committee, Bob Marshall, to present the. We don't have to open this as a hearing, right, Bob?
Tracy's got words on that.
Yeah, Rich, the whole process is in your packet.
I got it. Sorry.
You need to read the legal ad into the record and then have a vote to open the hearing.
Okay, my fault, thank you. Okay. Okay, the first thing.
You want me to read that, Rich?
Okay, you want to read the legal ad? Okay.
So read the legal ad into record and open the hearing. Okay, so this is the legal notice, Town of Lakeville Cable Television License Renewal Public Hearing. Right, Tracy? That's what we're reading, right? Okay. The Town of Lakeville, by the Board of Selectmen as the statutory cable license issuing authority, will hold a cable license renewal public hearing on February 22nd, 2021 at 6:30 PM pertaining to Verizon New England, Verizon, in connection with the possible issuance of a cable television renewal license to Verizon. Please note, due to COVID-19 state of emergency, this public hearing will be held remotely on Zoom and can be attended by desktop, laptop, tablet, or phone via the following link or numbers. And then the ad says remote Zoom meeting, Board of Selectmen / cable ascertainment hearing Verizon. When? February 22nd, 2021 at 6:30 PM. Join the Zoom meeting, and it gives the link or the meeting ID 824-7445-4501, passcode 948-305. It also gives the other listings, but unless someone asks for them, I don't think so. Let's see, if the state of emergency is terminated or if the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law is rescinded, this public hearing will be held in the meeting room at the Lakeville Police Station, 323 Bedford Street, Lakeville, Mass. At the date and time specified above. Please call the office of the Board of Selectmen at 508-946-8803 for more information. This proceeding is held pursuant to Federal Law 47 USC 546 to ascertain Lakeville cable-related needs as part of the license renewal process. Public comment on local cable needs and past performance of Verizon New England, also known as Verizon, is invited and shall be allowed by electronic video and audio conference platforms in accordance with the above. If and when Verizon files a license renewal application, a copy shall be available electronically by contacting the town clerk's office. Residents interested in obtaining a paper copy can contact town clerk's office at 508-946-8803. A reasonable copy charge will be assessed. For more information on the public hearing, please call the Board of Selectmen's office at 508-946-8803 by order of the Lakeville Board of Selectmen as statutory licensing issue authority.
Yeah.
So, that was the ad.
Okay, now we get this other thing. Public hearing, open and remarks. Good evening. My name is Rich LaCAM. I'm the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, which is a statutory issuing authority. Before going any further, let me introduce the other members of the Board of Selectmen. We have Selectman Day.
Present.
We have Selectman Fabian, as well as members of the Town's Cable Advisory Committee, and I believe the only one in attendance is Bob Marshall, who is the chairman of the advisory committee.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Can you call for the motion to open the hearing, please?
Sure. Let's see here. Okay, well, first of all, I was supposed to do that. Okay. But I make a motion to open the hearing.
Second?
Second to second.
All those in
Oh, Rich
favor?
said I make a motion to open the hearing, so I
That's okay.
seconded.
All right, all those, so we'll open the hearing. All those in favor?
Fabian, I.
Camera aye. Okay, notice of tonight's hearing has been duly published in the Middleborough Gazette, as Selectman Fabian has read, on February 11th and February 18th. I will provide a copy of that notice for the public record. Tonight's hearing is mandated by the renewal provisions of the Federal Cable Act. The current 5-year cable television license held by Verizon New England, Inc. will expire on May 4th, 2023. The town is currently involved in the federally required ascertainment process. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to identify future cable related community needs and interests and review the performance of the Verizon under its current cable television license. Once the town has gathered community interest, will inform Verizon of the kinds of services and facilities that the town expects will be provided during any possible renewal term. Thus, the testimony that you will give this evening is very important. And I encourage all of you to speak candidly and specifically about any cable-related matters. You must come up and provide testimony in order for your views to be counted and as part of the official record. If anybody is watching on Facebook Live would like to speak to this, please give your name and address in the chat box. Because of this is an ascertainment hearing for the town, I ask that you not pose direct questions for Verizon to answer. All testimony and or inquiries should be directed through me. Finally, I would like to clarify that while this is an ascertainment hearing on a cable television matter, there are two related subjects over which the Board of Selectmen has no authority to regulate. First, it's the rates that Verizon charges for its service, and second is the commercial programming that Verizon chooses to show on its cable system. I realize that these are two important issues for cable subscribers. While people are certainly free to comment on these matters this evening, it is important for everybody to realize that the Selectmen cannot mandate specific rates that Verizon can change, nor can the Selectmen mandate the commercial programming that Verizon carries on the Lakeville cable station. So with those introductory comments, I'd like to first call on the members of the public to testify. Is anybody from the members of the public want to testify? All those people out there? I guess not.
Is there anyone on the Facebook feed?
No, there's not. Okay, so since there's nobody that wants to make any comments or suggestions, I would then ask the Town's Cable Advisory Committee to make its presentation.
Thanks, Rich. And thank you to all of the citizens in town who participated in our recent survey. We had well over 400 citizens. Jose, do you recall the exact number? 489, was that right?
490.
490, okay, 490 citizens participated and gave us a lot of helpful information. We did have some Comcast customers participate, but back in 2019, we had the same thing when it was about Comcast. Some Verizon people participated, but they identified themselves. So we know what the people are talking about in which company and so forth. As Rich pointed out a moment ago, a number of people are under the misunderstandings that there are some items that the Board of Selectmen can control when in fact they cannot. Pricing, first of all, programming, and the internet. We have no control by law. I say we, the town, the Board of Selectmen, no control by law on how the internet works and whether it works and so on and so forth. We had an incident back in December where a lot of people's internet was down, and only by the good graces of the Verizon rep that I did contact, he was able to direct the concern, and it was addressed perhaps a little bit more quickly. But people should always contact their customer service people first. That's very important. Some of the more common concerns you can all imagine, I'm sure. Pricing. As Rich mentioned, we have no control over pricing at all. Surprisingly, back in 1986, for the first 6 months after we signed our very first license, we did have some control over pricing until the feds changed the law. Cable companies have great lobbying control over Congress and lawmaking. The consumer, unfortunately, does not. And that's a sad fact. Some of the complaints that people have had, that it's way too expensive. Some people are cutting the cord, and obviously the technology is going to be changing in the years ahead. Some of the people have been concerned about what they call the business tactics, that they're being forced to update certain things when they don't think they should, etc. And again, I advise that people contact their Verizon or their cable customer service people and lodge your concerns there. If you're not satisfied, then I would suggest that you contact Board of Selectmen through the office. And Tracy has always been very kind enough to pass those concerns along to our committee. And if we can, we will contact either Comcast or Verizon and try to square things away. Some of the other concerns that came up in the survey, the signal and equipment quality, quote unquote, the pixelation that occurs in this person's complaint took months to correct, wavy distortions, audio issues. Another person said our system frequently shuts down, constantly waiting for it to reboot, etc. Other concerns, how long it takes to wait to get a person on the telephone. Sometimes they're hard to understand. Sometimes the people question the training that the people have had in order to deal with their particular concern. Sometimes people in the survey have indicated that they have actually lodged written complaints and not gotten a response. Some people asked about, we have too many of one particular language channel and we don't have any of another language channel. As Rich pointed out earlier, in terms of programming, we have no control over that. The town has no control over that. That is totally within the purview of Comcast or Verizon. And again, the internet, we can only deal with cable TV related issues. Interestingly, many people, and I advise the Board of Selectmen, if you haven't already, take a look at the comments down at the bottom of the survey, excuse me, down at the bottom of the survey. I find the comments to be very illuminating. But many think that the Board of Selectmen has total control of everything, including pricing, programming, and the internet, and that is not so. The Board of Selectmen is the issuing authority, and their duty is to review and sign the contract after maybe asking some advice, and that's the job of our committee. And Jose, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the Board of Selectmen has no control of something like live streaming, and some people even ask, does live streaming occur? And I think LakeCAM does some of that, and of course you've got your Vimeo recordings as well. Could you speak to that?
Yeah, the LakeCAM is, and the town is under no obligation to live stream anything. Our obligation to the selectmen as LakeCAM is to get this programming onto cable TV. That's it. We are under no obligation to put up that Vimeo video on demand system either. We do it as a convenience for the customers. If too many people cut the cord, then LakeCAM will not have enough funds to continue either of those services. So at some access centers, what they're doing is they're charging for access to live and video on demand, in addition to the cable TV fees they receive in order to make up for the cord cutting. So please know that cord cutting just hastens LakeCAM going out of business and not being able to do what we're doing tonight, for instance.
Thank you, Jose.
You're welcome.
Another concern or complaint, if you will, expressed by some people, actually, one person on Bridget's Way, another person on Hybrid Drive. We even actually have a street, Hybrid Drive. That's interesting. Those people have said that we only have an option for Xfinity. to my knowledge, that shouldn't be so if it is. And if it is so, I would invite you to write an email or give Tracy a call, and she always sends it along to me, and we as a committee can try to address that. To my knowledge, all parts of town should have the option for either Xfinity or Verizon. Many don't realize that LakeCAM, we already talked about live streaming and Vimeo. Another concern, a la carte channel choices. That's many people, and I can remember this argument coming up back in 1986 when we signed our first license. Many people would like to, myself included, choose only the channels that they want and pay only for those. That would be wonderful. The cable companies, both of them, are under, I'm told, must carry certain channels. For example, if they broadcast ABC, NBC, CBS, those networks are affiliated with other channels, and these in a business arrangement, and these networks must carry because they have a contract with these channels, they have to carry these other channels. So again, that's something beyond our control. It would be wonderful if we could get them to allow us to choose only the channels we wanted. But right now, that's not a possibility as far as I know. Some people complain that the cable companies are not being held to the contract, the license that they sign with Lakeville. I am not aware of any such situation. As a matter of fact, we as a committee scrutinize the license, and when we become aware of anything that might be a violation, I pick up the phone, call either Comcast or Verizon, in this case Verizon, we express our concern, and we look into it and get the thing resolved. So as far as I know, neither cable company is in violation of their contract. If anyone out there is aware of it, again, I'd ask you to contact the Board of Selectmen's office, and Tracy will send it along to us. Presently, we're working with Comcast on their license. I think we're probably unlikely to start with Verizon for a couple of months or so. You've let us know your concerns, and thank you to all of the people who participated in that survey. It's very, very helpful to get your input. The input of 490 people about cable in town, that's wonderful. And again, to Jose and LakeCAM for all the help with that survey and many other areas, thank you so much. So please let us know your concerns. And to the Board of Selectmen tonight, the big question is, what concerns, if any, do you have?
Any of the board members?
Brian, do you want to go first?
No, you can go ahead, Leah. I'll follow up.
So just from my own personal experience, I do know that I was trying to look at, these statistics here, the people that I was happy that almost everyone answered almost every question. But I find, and now I live in the, South Kingman Street area, I find that we have pretty good service with Verizon, but we do have a lot more outages, it looks like, than some other folks do here. So I'm curious if that might just be closer to our area. But also, aside from just seeing on one of the channels that a new box and everything is available, I don't know if they send it, but sometimes because there's so much information that comes to the house via mail, trying to get you to change your package and do everything else, I don't know if I become complacent with those. So if if I happen to see, oh, there's a new cable box you can get. So I don't know if too much mail sometimes isn't a good thing, too much marketing, because it seems like I find things out. Maybe they're sending me a message, say a letter saying that there's new, cable boxes and everything available. One of the other things, and I think someone else did touch on this in here, was I agree with whoever said, we're often, even the young folks in the house are turning up the volume to listen to the parts of the shows that are just dialogue. And then you go to a commercial and the commercial is like 3 times as loud as that. I've looked that up online. It is a real thing. I don't know how much control Verizon has, if that's their judgment call, but that's one thing that I know is slightly annoying to our household, that you're watching the dialogue is fine. And like the person said in here, when the music comes on or the commercial comes on, it's just so much louder than the actual dialogue.
Mr. Chair, if I might, I know Jose has the answer for this because he's explained it to me.
I think I have the answer, and I hate to say it's user mistake, but it's not a user mistake. There are controls on your televisions for the audio, and you can specify what type of audio you want. Okay. And you should play around with that to see which one actually solves that problem. On our end, on LakeCAM's end, in the past, when we've had analog audio, and before we had a digital broadcast system, we had that problem where our audio was coming in way too low. And people switched to the commercial stations and it was way too high. So there are quite a few standards out there for the audio. You may need to check your specific television to set it to whichever of the versions of the audio that's available that sounds best to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
I can also the other question about upgrading cable boxes, and this, I think Bob brought this up earlier in some of the responses. The cable companies are trying to upgrade you primarily because of the Wi-Fi speed war that's going on. They're trying to leapfrog each other on how fast their Wi-Fi routers are in your home, and using that as an advantage to switch. They do cost more, because they're going from a router that does maybe 100 megabits per second to a gigabit per second over Wi-Fi. Just know that the higher the speed, the more cost that's going to be involved on just getting the box and renting the box every month and so forth. So I just want to answer that one for you also.
Okay. So all that brings me to my next comment, which is typically when I have issues with I usually call customer service, and my last few experiences calling customer service haven't been, not fantastic, but not bad either. But I did try twice to send in a comment on the way they changed their channel guide. And I don't think it's user friendly anymore. I think the guide was before you could see who was starring in the show, whatever. Now I think the information is, so anyway, so my point is I tried to access customer service via the phone and just like through the contact us section. And I just feel like I'm not getting much response. So, and I don't think that was always that way. I thought they were always, at least I know with their other divisions, like for mobile service and everything, I'm never disappointed with my support that I get. So I'm just not sure. I can't possibly, maybe I am the only one. It could be user error.
No, you are not the only one.
Okay.
Can I just answer that user guide issue? I think I know what you're talking about. When you had a description of a particular movie, it had the actors and the main actors. There's a new name that pops up first now, and that's the director.
Yeah, the director part started happening before, but now when you use the guide, it doesn't even give you who the actors are. You literally have to you literally have to hit the more information to find out. And the same thing like with the times. You used to be able to see it, the times. It's just kind of, strange. And as soon as it came out, I did try to reach out to them to ask them other questions, and I never, got a response. So
Leah, when you reached out, was it by phone with customer service or in writing or what?
it was via contact us. One of their, contact us with any comment. I went in just to see if I could find a place to send a comment on, geez, I'm not really loving the new guide system. And
Right,
I
but
never,
contact us how? Using the TV or your
well,
internet?
through my phone. I did it through my phone.
Okay.
Yeah,
very
I
good.
went to their customer service, and
Yeah,
that's
the whole
that's how I
issue of customer service, Leah, is a big one. And no matter which cable company we deal with, we've had lengthy discussions about their customer service. And I have, one of the people who responded in the survey indicated that that sometimes they got people who didn't seem to be very well trained. And I would have to confess, sometimes when I've called customer service, I get someone who is extremely knowledgeable and friendly and helpful and easy to understand, and they jump through hoops to help me. And
Yeah.
other times, not so much.
Yeah, I
So,
agree with that.
Common problem.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We're
I
trying to
agree
address
that.
it, but our hands are tied to some degree because there is a section in the Federal Cable Act that addresses standards for customer service, and cable companies generally tend to want to rely on just having to meet those standards, and they might not be the same as what you or I might want.
Yeah.
It's a legitimate concern.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, those are just pretty much my user observations. But I also haven't had a whole lot of people calling to complain, so I guess that's a good thing.
Hey Leah, if I can make a suggestion, is find somebody on your road or as close to your house as possible that also has Verizon cable TV, and communicate when you have an outage, and see if they have the same outage at the same time. If not, then there's something between the pole on the street and your house. That something is just not right. If you were a Comcast customer, I'd say the problem was squirrels eating the cable
Yeah.
insulation, but Verizon doesn't have that problem apparently. I don't understand the difference, but they claim they put metal there that deters them from eating their cables, or using it as nesting.
A lot of what we're experiencing, and again, you're right. I think most of my surrounding neighbors have Comcast. Before, when we had Comcast, we used to do that. We used to communicate with each other, but we wanted faster speed and everything else, so we decided to try Verizon. And I mean, we haven't been disappointed by any means, but like anything, there's a few issues. But
when did you switch over?
It's been 2 years actually.
I went on probably in 2008, and except for power outages, I've never been out. But mine comes off the pole and goes underground. So it's kind of different than those going over the poles. I would suggest helping Lakeville, ask for someone on your road, or multiples on your road, and to just try to communicate to isolate it to your home or whether it's the entire street.
Yeah, lately it's doing this where it's not an outage, but it's certainly buffering. It comes up and you can see something spinning and it's buffering, and that's just straight television.
Straight television, not Netflix or any streaming service, because that's usually the streaming services.
Yeah, no,
Some of the complaints that I saw from some of the customers was definitely streaming issues.
Yeah.
But if it's you should never see buffering on television whatsoever.
All right. Okay.
Okay, Brian, do you have any comments?
Yes, so I'll try to be short. Bridget's Way is one of the newer roads in town, so I don't know if that is a matter of after the town accepted it, which I think we did. If there's a notification that needs to go out to providers to let them know a new road is there, or if there was a stop in infrastructure build out, if they are, I do not know if they're required to continue building out as additional streets are created within a town and then accepted. First of all, I did want to start actually with thank you very much to Mr. Marshall and the rest of the Cable TV Advisory Board. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that folks have no idea that goes on. So believe it or not, Bob's only 23 years old, but since his chairmanship. But, you know, one of the questions I kind of ask myself is, you know, these are long contracts, a number of years, and what is cable TV even today? I mean, a lot of the providers are starting to move to IP-based services that are no longer frequency modulation going over cables. They don't look anything like they did a number of years ago. So some of these laws, federal and state, I believe, are outdated and really need to be looked at because we're not really holding them to the same standards when they're reusing their same infrastructure for, you know, telephone services, internet services that, you know, by far and away, we are relying on way more than the, you know, the television entertainment aspect. So I am kind of displeased to know that we can't, you know, we have to allow them to be the lowest common denominator because that's all that the law says. And they don't have to do anything more when we have big problems in town. So I would hope that they would elevate themselves to, you know, hold themselves to a little higher standard. I also get concerned on, you know, where is PEG grant money going to come from, right? So is that money going to dry up as people start to continue cutting the cord and moving towards streaming services that aren't part of that? So is LakeCAM's revenue going to dry up, or other, you know, opportunities that money goes towards going to dry up? I think there's a lot of just antiquated thinking in how we, you know, handle these companies. Not that their services are bad, it's just things have been going down the rails and we haven't come back to rethink how to do it. So I would like to see, you know, at a state and federal level, a lot of these things revisited. I know, you know, Bob's committee is held to what they can and can't do, just like the Board of Selectmen, but I would like to see them have a little more power in the future.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, just one quick thing to follow up on Brian's point. It's my personal opinion that we need LakeCAM very much, and therefore the PEG money that we receive from Verizon and Comcast, we need that as well. Largely, I think, because over the last 10 to 15 years, I have seen the newspaper coverage of our town drop to an unsatisfactory level. And for a citizen, if we want citizens to be informed about their town and what's going on, I think LakeCAM is the only way to do that and be up to date with what's going on, because I don't see the newspapers doing that. So, thank you.
Hey, Brian, just to follow up, you mentioned Bridget Way, I believe you said.
Yes.
Bridget Way is a private road. It's not a town road, and it will
It
not.
is still private. Okay.
There's your answer.
It will not be accepted as a town way, according to the 40B project, just so you know. Okay.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I have a couple of answers for Brian here. In terms of cord cutters, there is a state bill in both the House and the Senate at the moment to tax streaming services at the same rate as the cable TV services, 5%, in order to make up for some of that money, so PEG can get some of that money. 20% of that money goes to the state general fund. 20% goes to, 40% goes to municipal general funds, and 40% goes, I have that wrong. I can do the math real quick. A portion of it goes to state government, a portion goes to municipal governments, and another portion goes to PEG. And these bills
And
are going.
This is just a bill right now, right?
Just got reintroduced this year. There's also talk on the state level to change the state law to modernize it. And I've heard that on the federal level, they're also looking to modernize it because all this is based in 1995 law. So things have changed a little bit since then. So yes, they are moving forward in some ways on all levels.
That would be great.
Thank you.
Okay. Just for the record, there is no representative from Verizon to make any.
Bill, Rich, if I could speak to that, Verizon, the Verizon rep told me they wouldn't be attending. They were invited, but they said they pretty much don't attend these now, simply because they feel they don't want to, cause people not to say what they want to say. So
Okay, I'm just reading the requirements here, Bob.
Yeah.
And it says that the Verizon representative, and I just want for the record that he's not here.
Yeah.
The person is not here, and that's fine, but we'll put that in the record. Okay. Okay, if there's no further testimony, that concludes tonight's public hearing. I'll keep tonight's hearing open for 14 days in order to receive additional testimony. Interested parties are encouraged to submit written testimony on any renewal related issue discussed tonight, or indeed regarding any cable related issue. Written testimony or comments may be made to the Board of Selectmen's office by March 8, 2021. These comments should be sent to the Board of Selectmen's office, Town Hall, 346 Bedford Street, Lakeville, Mass. 02347, or by email to Tracy T. Craig McGee at lakevillema.org. All right. Are there any other questions? Anybody else have any other questions about the renewal process? Call the Selectmen's office as well.
thank you all very much.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Good night.
Bye.
Oh, bye, Jose. Didn't realize you were leaving.
Okay. Okay, next on the agenda is to revisit the response for the proposal for submissions and vote to award a contract for Loon Pond Lodge event management, food and beverage services. As the board knows, at last meeting on last Wednesday, the board decided to delay this decision until they can do their evaluations. And I believe we have a summary of those evaluations. I assume everybody has that. And basically the criteria is based upon prior experience in management and marketing facilities and events, experience and ability to manage facilities with a liquor or a catering license, quality of proposal and management plan, quality of staffing plan, positive references, and any other criteria considered relevant in the reasonable discretion of the town. So we did receive 3 proposals to the RFP. One was from Fireside, one was from the Boston Tavern, and one was from Dream Weddings. So I don't know if the board just wants to summarize these, or the board wants to make comments about their individual valuations.
I can give a summary of mine at the start if you like.
Sure.
With the 3 that we received, 2 obviously being local companies, it was also very nice to see that they are both local companies that have survived the COVID pandemic well. So we know that they know how to operate a business. If I just go through my scoring quickly, just the totals for time. Unfortunately, I felt Dream Weddings, they failed to include a couple of the major items that in the RFP did require. So their score did reflect that they came in 3rd place. The other 2, very similar bids, but I did have Boston Tavern in 2nd place and then Fireside in 1st place, but they were relatively close to each other. And I look forward to discussing the revenues the revenue figures with the two of you, because I just want to make sure we're all looking at them the same way, because they certainly look quite a bit different.
Okay. Leah,
In a very similar way, I ranked Dreams third. I have Boston Tavern ranking first and MDD ranking second. Again, it was nice to see a couple of local companies, which I think is good. The close proximity makes me feel really, confident that things, even the small things or big things, aren't going to be an issue because the main management team is within, a 5 or 10-minute ride to the facility. But I was just really happy with a lot of the presentation. I did really like, for some reason, I liked Boston Tavern's management, the staffing a little bit more, and that's probably why I scored it a little bit higher. But otherwise, I couldn't be more pleased with what we got. I'd also like to say that even though the third company is not a state company, I'm really glad to see that whatever advertising we did actually reached people in other places. So that's kind of nice to know for the future. Like I think Mr. Marshall had said something just a few minutes ago about how coverage of Lakeville in the newspapers is declining. So when we do these bids, it's nice to know that we're putting them in a place where someone other than just the local folks are seeing it. So that was kind of reassuring to me that the information is out there if people are looking for it. So wherever we're advertising, Tracy, we're doing a good job.
well, it was put on the state bid list, Leah.
So so that's good, because we want to encourage more than sometimes for different things, more than just the local.
Okay, my comments are, and as I said at the last meeting, that I thought that both the Fireside and the Boston Tavern were great companies, and they all have extensive experience, what we're looking for, and they have the staffing levels that is needed, to manage the Loon Pond Lodge as well. And the third one was Dream Weddings, and as Brian pointed out, they left off a significant part of response to the RFP. So they certainly, in all three of our cases, did not come in very high, at all. So kind of where we are is that based upon the valuations that, overall, if you take the valuations together, that I believe my numbers are correct here. Even though that doesn't make a difference, we're not going to make a decision based upon just the evaluations. Okay, we're going to be now talking about the pricing proposal, but I believe that overall, from the three of us with the ratings that were done, that Boston Tavern came in first overall, and then the Fireside. So unless my numbers are wrong, I believe that's the case. Anyways, okay, so that's that, and that's important that we all feel that we have two, very good, candidates that we should consider. So clarification on the price proposals, which is, Brian, is very important, as you know. That the two different price proposals as a percentage between Boston Tavern and excuse me, Boston Tavern's the same. Excuse me, I got the right pen here. Don't need that one. Okay. So, so two different pricing proposals. One is the fireside, and the other is the Boston Tavern. So basically, what was done, we asked them to provide a pricing that a percentage of the gross sales for year one, year two, and year three. And the fireside came in at 15% plus. They were looking for $4,900 on an annual basis for the management. And actually, they came in the same way for all 3 years. And then Boston Tavern came in 12% for the first year, 15% for the second year, and 16% for the third year. Now, the issue here, which is important, is that the services for the event management. Is Brian still here?
Lost Brian. Craig is saying we lost Brian.
Trying to come back. The Zoom crash. I wonder which network he was on.
It's pretty windy outside.
There he is. Oh, so I don't know if you heard everything I said, Brian. Probably not.
Sorry about that.
That's
Zoom
okay.
crashed on me. Last I heard was we asked the responders to provide a percentage based, and then it kind of
Okay,
went away.
so I gotta repeat this. Thanks, Brian.
Sorry. I'll watch it on Facebook.
So what we did, we asked them to provide a percentage of the gross sales that they would pay the town. And the fireside said 15% in a management fee of $4,900. And then it's the same year in year two and in year three. And then the Boston Tavern first year would be 12%, and then 15%, and then 16% on the third year. Now, the important thing here to remember is that we no longer have a separate event management fee, okay? So when you look at the percentage of the total, the current year that we're in, our management fee was $40,800, okay? Along with a $7,500 cleaning fee. And that would be charged by whoever company, takes this over. So we'd be responsible for that. So the difference of savings is $48,000. So you have to look at that from a percentage, standpoint. I hope I'm not confusing everybody. Am I confusing anybody?
I was going to ask if we could level set on one thing first. I apologize for crashing and coming back in. Was just the sheer difference in revenue numbers in the responses in the first place.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that, we're both companies saying that those numbers are the gross revenues or the cut giving Lakeville, because they were so different.
I would say that those are the gross revenues.
Okay.
And I'll tell you the reason why, that if you looked back at the last few years, the revenues that we've been getting. So if you take the food service revenues, we were getting $27,000 a year.
Correct.
Okay. And the bartending one was $16,000 a year. So if you add those two up together, that's $43,000. Okay. So I would say that one of them said 300,000, if I remember the number correctly.
Yeah, they both did in different years. Yeah.
Yeah. So it would be a percentage of that number.
Because I was looking at the similar figures, and if we also toss in hall rentals, which I wasn't sure how we look at this. I came up for like FY16. I came up with like, we had a number of $135,000 total. However, of that, only about 4950 was bar and food services.
That's correct.
Which-
The rental comes to us. 100% of the rental comes to us.
Because when I was looking at these, I'm like, how can they be a difference of 400% in years 2 and 3?
Right.
Seemed,
So the rental fees all come to us.
so
So I think you pointed out in the first 1 year was like 138, I believe.
yeah, right around there.
You really have to subtract the 87,000 for the rentals, because that's ours. So when you look at the total, I think you said 43,000, 44,000, somewhere in there, whatever the number
Yeah,
is.
generally did varies a little based on year.
Okay, so if you look at that perspective of what we're getting percentage wise, either case now, this is either case, okay? And not having to spend out the 40+ thousand dollars in event management fee, because the management fee is included in this percentage. You with me?
Mhm.
You okay, Leah?
Yep.
Okay, so that's kind of what we need to look at and say, well, all right, if you take 300,000, let's take the $300,000 number. Okay, and we're gonna get 15% of that number. That's $45,000. Okay. Which we would get. All right, but we also don't have to pay the event management fee. So that's a plus side of $40,000 more.
Right.
Okay. So, and by the way, this is all negotiable still. Whatever we decide, we can negotiate whatever we want as far as that contract is concerned. Okay. Anyway, so if it's me, I would not try to make the decision on basically saying that we're only gonna get, this certain percentage. You gotta look at the total picture. And also beside that, Brian and Leah, if you recall, we weren't getting 20% of the food business. We were only getting 18% of the food business.
Right.
Okay. So when you put all those numbers together in either proposal here, we're far ahead of what's required as far as the budget is concerned. Are we okay?
Yes, I just have, I have a comment.
Just one?
So, yeah, just one, believe it or not. So I just wanna, I know all the information goes out and each company is responsible for bidding it the way that it is. However, we did send out for bids for just event management. I just want to be sure that there was no misunderstanding on the part of,
This isn't for event management.
no, I know, but I just was hoping that, they understood it. And again, it's up to each place to if they had that question, they could have asked us, but,
These two companies are gonna handle event management,
and all the,
bartending service.
Yep.
And the food service, and they're responsible for all the bookings and everything. And it's, everything.
I will also add that this has been the way that I've thought that it should have been all along, that, their incentive to do well is their own profit. So this is sort of the way that I thought that this should be working all along. So, and again, if we weren't paying a management fee, then we didn't need to charge as high as we were. So I'm okay with these numbers being, a little bit lower, because we're not paying something every month either. So I don't know, there's a whole bunch of information here, but
There's other things too. So if we're, sorry, Lee, were you done with that?
yeah,
No? Okay. Apologize for interrupting.
no, that's okay.
The, there are other things here. I know in the RFP, we said that the facilities are provided as is, which I agree with. They are what they are. But I'm sure all of us and everybody in the town, and especially the parks, are hoping that whomever comes in is going to be able to elevate, the services offered by the lodge, and hopefully have more events and such. Maybe we don't know yet. Maybe this is part of contracts negotiation with whomever we choose here. But do we want to, also consider like, what do we need just for maintenance and repairs at the lodge itself? If we're pulling in more events, do we have to start worrying about the septic system that's there and making sure that's pumped out more often? I mean, perhaps these might just be things we hash out during contract negotiations, or we say that's the town's cost. We're gonna, chew that up, whatever it is. 'Cause I don't think we've got just the lodge broken out for maintenance fees right now. Maybe
No,
it's like one big Parks number.
yeah, I agree with you, because if they owned the building, then they would be responsible, let's say, for replacing the rug, making it look good in the high traffic areas. But we own the building, so you're right, there's a concern, is stuff gonna get used much quicker? You're right, with septic systems and, all that kind of stuff. So I think we should probably address that in by doing a annual inspection or, whatever. But you're right, I would like to see that addressed in the contract. But, with some of these projections, over $1 million worth of revenue or in sales, that's a whole lot of partying.
Yeah.
A lot of people. So,
Well, it also, you have to talk about availability, as well. What really is available for to use and marketing and stuff like that. So, which has not been discussed with either party at this point. So,
yep.
Especially around election times. We know we need the space every now and then.
We do need the space, but yeah.
so that's excuse me. Go ahead, Brian.
No, did you want to get back to the numbers you were working through first?
I guess whatever you guys want to talk about at this point, but I mean, if you look at the difference in the percentages, and you said, oh, okay, let's use a round figure of $300,000. They're going to take in $300,000. Let's try to make it simple. Then fireside would be 15% of that, which would be $45,000. Okay. And the first year, the Boston Tavern would be 12% of 300,000, which is $36,000. Okay. But at the same time, based upon these numbers, even in the first year, we're going to save almost $47,000, in expenses, because we don't have to pay for the event management anymore. Either party here.
Right.
So, anyways, tough decision, I know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a couple of the points that why I was more skewed towards Fireside. And again, really between Fireside and Boston Tavern, you both put together.
Uh-oh.
From Fireside was a little more in depth. I also like the fact that they were dedicating 2 employees only to us, where it looks like the others from Boston Tavern might be shared with their primary business and us as well. I actually liked that the percentage stayed the same each year. I thought that makes things a bit easier. We know we've had a bit of a trouble the past few years. And honestly, I found it hard to believe that we would have, a 400% jump in revenues in year 2 from Boston Tavern's proposal. 1.2 million sounds awesome, but when we look back at what we were getting for revenues the last few years, man, we must have been missing a lot of business, because if it was possible to go from, let me see here, let me pull up the little chart again. Let's say, what was the last real year we had? Let's call it FY20. 35,000 in food and bar.
Yep.
To go to these kind of numbers,
I don't disagree with that. I mean, I think a $300,000 number, of course, you got to be careful, because this is going to have to be ramped up again. So this is not because of COVID-19.
Yeah.
In fairness to some of these companies, as well, because they know that whatever ones we've signed, if they have signed food contracts, they're going to stay with them. The bar service belongs to them. Okay. No matter what happens. So there certainly is going to be some lost revenue from their perspective for 21, at least 21.
Yeah, year one's gonna be strange for everybody.
It's gotta be, yeah, it's gonna be a little strange, yeah.
But, you know, even if we get into year two, I mean, you're still talking almost a, what, 1,000% increase from our FY 20 roughly? At 300,000.
21, you mean?
Sorry, let me back
Sorry.
up here. I was looking at the last actual, I think, so,
Actual is 20.
Yeah,
For comparison standpoint.
yep. So bar rental about 15, food about 20, call it 35.
Right.
So yeah, so I mean, even these numbers are pretty high. I just felt like the Fireside's numbers were more realistic. Not that I wouldn't love to have the other ones, but they seemed more in line.
Okay. Okay. Leah, you got any other comments or?
No, not really.
Okay. Are we ready to make a decision or what?
Well, how do we handle the management fee that's listed on here?
Right.
We're gonna have to tell them that, we'll have to negotiate that.
Yeah, I mean, I think to Leah's point, you know, this is kind of performance based. I mean, that they should be able to wipe out if they did well enough.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the management fee that's listed there is pretty small considering.
Was that a month? I had a hard time looking at the,
Yeah, it didn't come
Yeah.
through very clearly. Was that per month?
I don't know. That looks like per year to me.
I thought it was like
Yeah.
MTH. I don't know if Tracy's got an
Yeah, I
original.
thought it was per month, and that's
I can't see
another
what that said.
reason.
Yeah, well, it's faded here. You're right. It looks like MTH.
Yeah, so for me, 15%, and then we would have to pay them. That's what I've always said is, you know, their incentive should be their own profit, you know, not the, you know, whatever. And that's, you know, a little bit higher than what we were paying for it. So,
Because if that is a month, you actually would be running a deficit the first 3 years. If you take the percentage of the estimated revenues, for example, we'll say year two, the revenue share would be 45,000. However, management fee would be 60,000. You'd be negative 15. You'd be relying on the hall rentals, if I'm reading that right.
Correct.
right, and you know, I know that they have 2 people dedicated. So that could be how they're paying for that. Maybe without that, they, you know, so that's why I'm saying, you know, I said at the beginning, I just want to be sure that there wasn't any, you know, confusion, but you know, I think that I've spent so much time with this. I've spent, you know, doing the tours and doing this and doing that, that I have, if someone wants me to go through the reasoning why I, you know, pretty much gave Boston Tavern a perfect score throughout, I will. I don't know if we want to talk about references, but
My other point here before I forget was the fact that Fireside already has an outdoor space. So they're probably well versed in what to do when Mother Nature does not agree on the day of, and being able to turn around and pivot, where I believe Boston Tavern just has the Abigail Adams room, the one indoor room.
they have some outdoor seating.
There's that gazebo out back I've seen.
Yeah, they
As
have.
you can see, we've both
gazebo up
frequented
there.
both of these establishments.
Yeah,
Good
I know, it
operations.
really is. It really, when we're trying to nitpick to make a difference, it really goes to show you that we have 2 very qualified, you know, companies to do it. Just because I am being nitpicky though, the one reference that I tried to do was a disconnected phone number. Hey, that can happen. Then I tried to follow through with the 4th reference, because I think, Brian, you had the first, I had the second, Rich had the third, so I did the 4th one for the same company. I couldn't verify that one either. So kind of fell through with that. And on Boston Tavern, I think it was Brian that had suggested we not use Kelly Howley, because she is a town employee. So what I did was I reached out to Boston Tavern, got an immediate answer, and they gave me another reference, which was a great reference. But I also did talk to Kelly, and I think as the COA director, she's used them. Of course, you know, it's hard to believe before COVID how much our seniors used to do, but she always said that at Boston Tavern, they were super competitive with pricing. They were above and beyond when the seniors were there. So I sort of let myself be swayed by that too. And their pricing was actually more competitive than the folks we had running the lodge. So let's not even go into that. We stopped using our own lodge to go to Boston Tavern. Let's not go down that road.
I see Mr. Gonzalez Facebook comment. Yes, Boston Tavern does have a beautiful outdoor dining area. I have dined there. I was just thinking more about, you know, outdoor rental space as well. I believe Fireside flips between renting that outdoor space they have as well as normal dining.
Yeah. Okay. So anyways, I don't know where we go here.
Well, we gotta go somewhere.
Rich is the chair. Happy, that's a good thing for us.
Who doesn't
right
want this
now.
on another
That's a
agenda?
good thing for me and Brian.
I told you it was gonna be a tough decision to make, you know?
Leah's gonna make me do it, I can tell.
What? Oh, no, no. If we're ready to decide, then I make a motion that we accept the bid from Boston Tavern,
Subject to contract negotiations.
subject to contract negotiations.
Let's second the motion.
Okay, any just further discussion? Okay,
It's not my pick, but I will go wholeheartedly into contract negotiations. And I would say to the other good one, don't lose hope yet, because you never know.
Yeah, no,
Maybe
you never
contract
know.
negotiations
And
go nowhere.
honestly, this is one of the most difficult things that I've had to do. It's nice to know we have two really, really good companies. So, but we can.
and we only have to deal with one company for
Yeah,
everything.
and we only have to deal with one company.
That's
but
big.
yeah, yeah, that is.
All right, any further discussion?
I will be bringing up these revenue forecasts during contract negotiations, so.
No problem.
Yeah, that's fine.
All those in favor?
Phoebe and I.
They
Okay, LaCamera, aye. Okay, now that we've made that decision, do one of us want to get a preliminary draft of a contract first, and then we bring it to the board, or how do you want to handle it? I just bring it to the board.
So we just want to do a draft and then, yeah, I mean, I can do that. I can get a draft together and bring it to the board and try to get it done ASAP.
Is that what you want, Brian, or you want to just bring it right to the board?
I mean, a draft would be good. I'd like to give Parks a chance to look at it too, just in case we miss anything.
Can we count on town council to give us a rough draft here, or do we want to just?
No, we can, Mark Rich was working with us on the RFP, and I'm sure that he can do that. Of course, it's easy to put the draft contract, part together with basic language.
Yeah.
But, you really gotta discuss, what the conditions are, of that contract. Now, I know we've tried to outline, excuse me, some of that stuff, which we already have. And so we can give it a shot. And if that's what you want to do, Leah, and we'll get the draft and take it from there.
Yeah, so if he can, if I'm understanding, he can do the draft for us and you can just send it to us, right?
Correct.
For all of us to look at. Okay,
Chair, we already have the draft.
okay.
No, but we may want to put certain conditions in the
Right.
draft, right?
Yeah, we have the draft that town council provided. It's a standard services contract. And then we would just take that and modify it.
So what we have to do, Leah, is take that standard contract and put stuff in that contract that we want to see.
Okay,
And we can gladly, make our comments. Well, we've got a number of contracts that we've done, having to do with this situation, and I'm sure some of that language is gonna be the same and required as far as the contract is concerned.
okay,
So is that what we want to do? Everybody on the same page with that?
yep.
Works.
Okay, so we want to do this in 2 weeks, so do we want to do something separately?
I'd like to do something separately because we have a lot of questions coming in about the May, June, July events and the summer events that are booked. And if I would rather be able to have that information available so the new company can pick up and try to reschedule people on their own calendar or however it's going to work.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yep.
As you know, we're going to be doing the interviewing of the finalists for the town administrator's position on the 1st, and we don't want anything else on that meeting.
Yep.
We are going to meet on the 3rd to make a final decision, which should be quick.
Yep.
You want to include that on that agenda?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Unless we're going to have to wait another week if you don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, I'd rather do that
Another week and a
because,
half, actually.
yeah, like I said, we have people starting to question, is my event going to take place? And, and I do, and you know what? I've heard from a couple of brides who are saying that, well, so-and-so is saying that, oh, they can have 25 people outside, 25 people inside, and it's
Not our
still,
decision to make right now.
yeah, no, I know, but what I'm saying is we can't bend any rules. We
No,
gotta
no,
do
we're not
whatever
bending
the,
any rules right now.
right,
It's-
we
it's
gotta
not
do
allowed,
whatever the Board of Health and the health agent are telling us. So I'm hearing from brides that, so-and-so places are, and I'm like, they're not in Lakeville. I don't care what everyone else is doing. We have to follow the rules.
So, are you gonna have any conversation with Boston Harbor, or are we gonna wait until we review it?
Boston Tavern.
Excuse me.
Well, I mean, we can give them a call and, just let them know that,
They're watching right now.
yeah.
See in the comments.
So,
So what do you want to do? If you want to get this done quick, we got to do it right away. So.
yeah, so hopefully I can give them a call and maybe go over some preliminary stuff. If we have a preliminary draft, I'll come by the office or Tracy can send it to me so I can. review it.
It's in the RFP. You can see it in the RFP if you want.
That's it? I
That's
thought
the-
it would be more than that. Okay,
That's just a standard services contract. Like I said, language has got to be added to that and what the conditions are of what it's going to be.
okay. I'm confused. I thought we were saying we had more than that sitting in the office. So, okay, that's fine. I'll start working on it tomorrow.
Okay,
Tentatively the 3rd, we'll discuss that as well.
Yep.
Okay.
okay. Moving right along, next on the agenda is discuss the vote to approve a 2% cost of living increase for the call firefighters. In the past years, the call firefighters have not gotten a cost of living increase, and we think that, I think that that's why it's on the agenda, that they should be entitled to the same cost of living increase as all the other unions are.
Okay.
Anybody want to make a motion to approve that?
I will make a motion that we give the call firefighters a 2% cost of living increase.
I'll second the motion, and I'm thankful that Chief brought it to our attention.
Yeah.
Okay, they deserve it, no question
Yep.
about
Yep,
All those in favor? Oh, excuse
Baby
me.
and I. No, I was just gonna say, some of them weren't even making minimum wage up until 14 months ago, so. Anyways,
All those in favor?
Baby and I.
AI.
LaCAM, aye. Next on the agenda is to discuss and vote to approve job descriptions for the DPW laborer, heavy motor equipment operator laborer, forestry specialist, and administrative assistant to the DPW. As the board knows, you've been given these job descriptions and the changes have been made and been requested. And so I'll entertain a motion to approve these job descriptions.
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Baby and I.
AI.
LaCAM, aye. Next is to discuss and vote, approve contract with Cartographic Associates, Inc., DBA CAI Technologies for tax map maintenance. So I guess this is an annual contract that we have to do with tax maintenance that the Board of Assessors has requested.
Yep, I will make that motion. That per the assessors have already reviewed it and requesting that we approve it, right?
Okay,
So I make a motion that we approve the contract with Cartographic Associates doing business as CAI Technologies for tax map maintenance.
Second with discussion.
yeah, go ahead, Brian. I know what you're gonna say. Rightly
Uh,
so.
I've got a bit of a problem here. January of 2020, we had some requests from department heads to get some additional GIS layers inserted into our system, which for those that aren't familiar with the technology, essentially it's a mapping technology that allows you to put layer upon layer upon layer of information overlaid onto the plots beneath them. And that went, it actually now has had its first birthday cake where we've not gotten a resolution on whether or not those additional layers are going to be added. It looked like back in January of last year that everybody was on board. Then things just kind of went silent. And it wasn't until actually, I believe their last contract had expired that department had started saying like, have these layers been added? What's going on? I need these for some state mandates are coming up to help plan for the next coming years. And it just kind of went dead. So I tried to do a little bit of research. Essentially, the assessors were not in the loop of those requests that were been made. So I believe they felt there was nothing that they could do about it. But I was just a little disappointed from what I've seen. There might be an email chain I've not seen so far, totally possible. But it just seems like the reaction of the company was none, just kind of went dead after everybody had agreed on what was going to happen, which that kind of troubles me. And given that this is a system that is now or is going to be relied upon by additional departments, I think this is one that maybe we should pull into a townwide contract that's not just assessors and roll this into the IT budget like other similar contracted services.
So they agreed to do it, Brian, and they didn't?
That's what the chain indicates. So there was a number of layers from the highway department that they needed essentially to maybe able to more accurately map out catch basins and similar things, so they can plan out their service on those and start to come into compliance with. I'm going to say it, I don't even remember the right name of the state, but it's the stormwater management. And
MS4. MS4.
yes, thank you. That's the one. The data had been handed off. The company came back and said, do you want these to be public or private for now? We responded within the same day saying we want the layers to remain private but accessible to the town so they could review them, make sure everything was as is. And it seems like it just went dead. Again, maybe there's something that didn't get caught, but
Okay.
my research was dead.
What I would suggest that we do is that we change the motion to basically say that we need clarification on the data layers that was supposedly discussed and what's the plan to update them.
Yeah, I mean, they might come back and say that the previous contract was specifically just for tax map purposes, and I would understand, but to just go silent, that's tough for a year.
Okay.
So I'll just withdraw my motion.
All right, you, Brian, you want to make another motion or?
Would it be a motion or a recommendation to go back to the assessors and ask how to rework this? Because I'm sure they've got deadlines on some of this work they have as well. Leah, you might know from your previous time there.
Yeah, I think we do it as just as a recommendation, but, maybe you can call the chair and
What's the date of
exactly
this thing?
what you're looking for.
Well, the road contract has already expired, so
Yep.
this contract is supposed to be from January 1st, 21 through December 31st, 21, and the contract is dated January 29th. So,
Yeah, so hopefully they're not already performing work.
yeah, so I would say we vote to approve this contract and make a recommendation to the Board of Assessors to try to address our issues. The department has issues about the data layers.
Does it make sense to have a meeting with all parties I mean, I just feel like,
Well, I don't think that's a problem. I think that's what the recommendation should be, and then the Board of Assessors can get the appropriate departments together and say, hey, what do we need to do to get this stuff updated? I don't think we have to do it as a board. I mean, I think that's the
no, I
department
don't
is very
think, yeah,
capable.
I don't think we have to do it as a Board of Selectmen, but I do think that, there needs to be a little bit more organization on this because, there's a lot of different offices that use this. I know this was started by the Board of Assessors like 3 or 4 years ago, 4 years ago, I think. But even at that time, I think the Board of Assessors were just focused on what it was that they were doing, not taking into consideration.
What I will do, coincidentally, I happen to be meeting with the chairman of the Board of Assessors tomorrow about the pilot agreement. So I will ask him to put a meeting together with the appropriate people to get this issue addressed and report back to us.
Okay,
Yeah, that would be good because if these additional departments are gonna need these services, I don't know what that's gonna elevate the contract cost to. And then we might need to go back and look and see if this is the place to stay.
So does somebody want to make a motion to approve this 1-year contract since we're already 2 months into it?
I mean, why are we 2 months into it? And we're
Well,
just
because
getting it.
they didn't present the contract to us. We just got it.
Well, that's what I'm asking. I mean, why, I thought we were pretty timely with this kind of stuff. So I'm just kind of curious when I was on the Board of Assessors. So I'm just kind of curious if there was an issue with them negotiating something or if it was just,
I don't know. I guess you can ask them.
okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up the last one now just to see what the dates on it were.
Well, it would have been the same dates, Brian, because it expired on December 31st, 2020.
That would make sense, but let's see here. There was one on July 18th, 2019. Of course, it doesn't give the end date. All right, I'll look into it again.
All right, so what do we want to do?
Oh, I'd make a motion to approve this contract for the Board Assessors needs with the requirement that the chair or his designee meets with the chairman of the assessors to discuss what happened with those missing layers and what we want to do going forward to ensure all department needs are being accounted for.
Okay, you want to second that motion, Leah?
I will second that motion. And the only thing I'd like to ask is under where it says on the last page I have in my packet, it says tax map maintenance contract for the town of Lakeville, Mass. And then it says something for processing data. I can't read those dates. Does anyone have those dates?
Which page is it?
It is the last page of the 1, 2.
Oh, yeah. It's like 1/1/21 to 12/31. So basically this calendar year.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
that's correct.
Okay, but that's still, it's to 2021, right?
Yep.
December 31st, yeah, 21.
Okay, so anyways, I did second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Baby and I.
AI.
The camera, I thank you. I'm sorry to cut in, Brian.
That's okay. Sorry for making it longer than we expected.
That's okay. That's an important point, though. Next is discuss letter received from Old Colony Vocational Technical School District. They're informing us that the invitation of the town of Freetown to join the school district, that Freetown decided that they don't want to join the district. And so that's basically it. I guess they've decided to go to Bristol Plymouth and try to negotiate a contract there. So he's just informing us that that's what happened. The second thing is that the submission of a statement of interest to the Massachusetts School Building Authority expressing interest in expanding our infrastructure to meet existing demand and serve a greater need of applicants from our member towns. And they have done that. And at this point, they're right 30 on the list. And what happens is they either get invited to the next step, which is to express the project and what they're proposing to do. So it's, my guess is probably a year away anyways, before that happens. Anybody got any questions on that?
Actually, I do. So will they be honoring any Freetown students if there's space like they used to? Or is it a complete no?
It's a complete no, because what's happening is that the member towns have a right to have their students go there first. Okay.
Yep.
And believe it or not, they had over 300 applications for students to go into the freshman class, and there's only 140 spaces. So there's no space available to take tuition students.
Okay.
It's too
Okay.
bad, but it's the way
I know
it
it
is.
is. Yeah, no, I know. That's,
A lot of interest in vocational schools right now.
yeah, there really
A
is.
lot of
I mean,
interest, which is great.
Yep.
It's a good school. They do a nice
Yeah.
job.
yeah, it is a good school. Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Moving right along is discuss the request from the Rotary Club of Middleborough to ask MC, I assume this is Middleborough, whatever their cable something, to air their auction of Lakeville's access channel. So we need a vote to allow them to access Lakeville's access channel. And Jose said that he already got the letter and he's fine to do that. So I entertain a motion to allow them to access Lakeville's access channel, local access channel.
So moved. Excuse me.
All right. You want to second that, Brian?
Making sure she didn't have conversation coming. Second the motion?
Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, there's a second part to that. And they're requesting that the selectmen send a letter to Comcast requesting that they allow that.
I think from what I had the discussion, we'll gladly do that. But it's my understanding Jose's got the letter and he's going to take care of it, but that's fine. We can do that.
We don't need to vote on that, right?
They want to vote. They want to vote on it, I guess.
On sending it to Comcast?
No, whatever. Just vote to say we're allowing them to do
Yeah,
it.
we'll allow it. Okay.
I assume that was a so moved motion and seconded, Brian?
Playing it all through my head. Yes, it was. Second the motion.
All
Yes.
those in favor?
Baby and I.
Say aye.
The camera eye. Okay. Next on the agenda is to review and vote to accept the resignation letter from Richard Tripp from the Lakeville Arts Council. Richard Tripp, I've known him for God knows 40 years maybe. And he just has done a fantastic job and we hate to lose him, but we do understand that, he's got other things that he needs to do now. And so I entertain a motion to accept Richard Tripp's resignation to the Lakeville Arts Council and send him a letter of thanks.
So moved.
Second the motion.
Discussion?
I just want to thank Mr. Tripp. I've seen his handiwork over the years, and I agree, valuable member.
Yeah, I mean, 20,
Okay, all those in favor?
Wait a minute, I thought Brian was going to say something.
I was just going to say 20 plus years of service is amazing. So thank you to that very much. And hopefully some of his work inspires other folks.
All right,
Okay, all those in favor?
Baby and I.
Say aye.
Okay, the camera eye. Next on is discuss the Sun Multisport events to use Lakeville roads for the Patriot Half Bike Course. This particular event starts in Freetown, and as the board can see, there's a few areas that it does come through town on County Street and down Highland Road and down Route 18 to 105. So they need our permission to do that.
Somebody remind me, please, did they cover the cost of any police details that day?
They do. They pay 100% of the cost.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brian, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Leah.
I'm trying to think if this was the one that we had issues with 2 years ago because the gymnastics place was having their recital the same day.
No,
Okay. This is the one that just doesn't start and stop. It just goes through, correct?
yes. This
Right.
one starts in Freetown and it goes through the outer areas.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like we're towards the beginning of the loop.
And it's
Miles
pretty early.
3 to 11 or 12.
Yep. I did talk to the police chief today, and he continues to express his concerns, and I know it's written in this proposal here that the bikers aren't following the rules. They're supposed to be behind each other, and they're not. They're going out to the middle of the road, and that's been a major concern. We get a lot of complaints about that. And so, once again, he's emphasized that, and it is emphasized in the permit that's being proposed here. So that's all he had to say.
Again, I would like to bring up I think I've been saying this for a while now, that because of all these races and everything, this has to go through our streets. Our DPW director does an excellent job preparing for things like this. He has to send the sander out. I think that as a Board of Selectmen, we need to finally put some sort of a fee together for people that are going to be using our roads. Of course, it's too late to do that for this one, but I really would like to see us. I know that, our DPW director is going to send the sander out, and then he's going to send, the sand sweeper out and clean the roads and make sure the potholes are filled in. And it's going to be doing that under the gun if the weather before isn't, so there's a lot of work that goes into this on our part, and we're not getting, any fees for using the facility or whatever. So I think the Board of Selectmen needs to consider some kind of a road fee, but that's just me.
No, I would agree with you, Leah. And I don't know if we base it on mileage or something else, but I mean, yes, every gallon of fuel we spend cleaning the streets or sending somebody out there that wasn't expected to clean the streets for, overtime, I think those are things that we should recoup, especially if it's a for-profit event.
And, I've had many talks with, Franklin Moniz, and he has some really great ideas. I think we just need to sit down and put them down on paper. He has a lot of experience with this kind of stuff, and given the right tools, he really does an amazing job. And I think one of the tools we need to give him is some money so that he can continue to do a good
Well,
job.
I would suggest we have plenty of time to do this, that
Yep.
we get to Franklin and ask Franklin to make his recommendations. And he can bring it forward to the next meeting before we approve it.
Okay.
We still got
Okay.
about 4 months before the event. So
Yep. So I'd really like to do that. I know he has a really good idea of how exactly, to your point, Brian, how fees are established, and I think we need to do that.
Okay, next on the agenda is to discuss the request from the Boy Scouts for Troop 26 of Lakeville to hold a car wash at the Town Hall building, May 8th, 2021, excuse me, which is kind of an annual event, for the Boy Scouts. I'm sure none of us have any problem with doing this, provided that the Board of Health agent will approve it and allow it. And of course, we're, 3 months away here, so a lot of things may change, but right now it would be very difficult, to do it. So, but I don't think we have a problem with approving their request subject to the final approval of the Board of Health agent.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve this request to do a car wash, the town office building on May 8th, 2021, subject to Board of Health agent approval. Can we put it that way?
Sure.
With regard to the COVID.
I would second the motion. We just with one small addition, if we may, which is just to, in addition to the Board of Health agent, also have the fire chief kind of give the okay on the locations. We don't need any accidents taking place due to call firefighters coming in or anything else.
Yeah, they usually do it on the side of the building, Brian, to the left of the building. So anyways, that's a good point.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Fabian, I.
AI.
LaCAM, aye. Okay, we have our annual request. Now, hopefully this isn't gonna happen. I mean, hope this is gonna happen, excuse me.
Whoa.
The Lakeville Arts Council will hold their 2021 Arts and Music Festival on October 2nd, 2021. So they're requesting that the board approve them to allow them to use the Dickin Road, Darien Square, Center Stage, and Historical Town Hall building, as well as the grounds of the Arts Council, sponsored by the annual fund, to be held on October 2nd.
Okay, so I will make a motion to approve the Lakeville Arts Council permission to use Townhouse, Darien Square, and Center Stage to hold the Arts and Music Festival scheduled for October 2nd, 2021. Subject to the same, as long as the Board of Health agent at the time, with any luck, will be free and clear of these rules, but.
Okay.
Second the motion, and I hope we are by then out of this.
Yeah,
I hope so. My goodness gracious.
me too.
Okay, all those in favor?
Baby and I.
AI.
LaCAM, aye. Okay, next on the agenda is to review and vote to approve the Board of Selectmen's meeting of September 23rd, 2020.
I make a motion to approve.
Second the motion. The only item I noticed was I agree with everything that's in print. There was also one other item I brought up during that meeting on whether or not there's a way to ramp a town in slowly or if it's all or nothing over time. And I believe who was it there? I think it was Mr. Polanski said that it was pretty much an all or nothing. There really wasn't a ramp method at the time, but otherwise, yes, I second the motion here.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Baby and I.
AI.
LaCAM, aye. Any new business?
Do I dare say?
You can say whatever you want, Leah.
We'll
Yeah.
let you know after.
No, you can't.
Do I dare say that, does the board have any, it can be controversial. We've talked about it in many meetings, though, the Community Preservation Act.
Just so you know, I'm glad you actually brought that up, really. Adam Young, I called Adam Young about a week or so ago, because I was watching their meeting, and one of the things that they're trying to do is an upgrade to the open space plan, which is required. And so what we talked about is they want to do a survey similar to what LakeCAM just did for the Cable Advisory Committee. And there's some money associated with it, not a significant amount of money. And I actually said that, I'd bring it to the board, and I'm sure the board has no objection to spending, I think it was like $1,200, which included the software and the mailings and all that stuff going out on the tax bills. So that would come out of, this year's budget, and we certainly have the money to do that. So that was number one. And then number two, he was, we were talking about the open space and, some areas of concern that, some of the communications issues from the past that we need to try to straighten out as a group. We had that meeting, I don't remember, it was a few months ago. I don't remember when it was. And we talked about the approach that needs to be done for open space and so forth. So in that discussion, he wanted to know, about the CPA, the Community Preservation Act. And you may or may not be aware of it, but in our general bylaw, it's already in the general bylaw. The committee is formed. Not formed. The committee you can form a committee to review that. So I suggested that what he did was that he would go to the Board of Selectmen and ask them if they want to form that committee again. Okay, it's all spelled out in the general bylaws if you get a chance.
Okay,
Now, Leah, may
but-
I ask a quick question?
yeah,
This would be a town meeting vote if the town were to,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Just
And
so
it-
nobody tries to say the Board of Selectmen is trying to put a tax on us. That's not how it works.
No, no, and it has been voted down twice. However, I still think I would like to see us try it again because I've learned more about it than what I knew the last time that it was voted down. There's different levels that you can put in there. I've also learned of more uses that you can actually use it for. So, and you're right, it's a town meeting vote. People, would come to town meeting and have a vote. Just because we suggest something doesn't mean it has to pass. Things have changed. I don't remember when the last time was that it was, I don't know if Tracy remembers. I don't remember when it was the last time at town meeting, but it's been several years now. And I think people now will see that land, even though that's what we have a ton of, we don't have as much as we used to. So maybe now is the time. And I just thought it was very interesting when I actually checked surrounding towns. We're like one of the very few towns that, don't have a Community Preservation Act bylaw or, whatever. Which I just think is interesting because I think deep down inside, we've always said, what we have is a ton of land. Well, as we can see, we have, developments and housing and everything coming in, and now is the time that we have to work to try to preserve that. But
I'm going to clarify that, Leah. We do. The town has a ton of land protected, so
yeah, but
huge tracts of land.
yeah, but
Very
Does it
much
Can't
like
buy- we can't buy every small piece that comes up, so.
no, we can't buy every small piece that comes out, but that's what a lot of folks are saying on social media. They're saying, what about, preserving and whatever. So this would be the opportunity for people to come out and, either make that vote or not. So,
Okay, so the first thing that has to be done is that committee has to be formed again, so you want to take care of that then?
yeah,
I mean, I would,
Nothing, excuse me, Brian,
Yep.
nothing can be done at this annual town meeting, just so you know.
no, I know,
There's not enough time. The
no,
committee.
there's
has to
not
be-
enough, time to do it, but we need to, start. And, the open space folks have been a little unhappy with, us, but we need to all work together, because we couldn't approve.
What do you mean us?
Well, because we
we-
voted not
we-
to purchase a couple of things that came up, but we didn't have the money to, so that's,
No, the process was not done correctly, okay?
well,
It wasn't done correctly.
we still didn't have extra money to just,
You can't do anything if you wait till the last minute. These things have to be planned out and prioritized as to which ones, and the owners have to be called ahead of time to say, yep, I'm interested in selling the land to the town. You don't show up 45 days, before and saying, oh, I now want to sell it to the town. It's impossible to do it in that short period of time.
Especially when there's already an offer on the table.
Right, especially with, thank you, when there's already an offer on the table.
I absolutely agree with you, but we, for anyone out there who's saying, we need to start preserving land and, this is
Leah,
a
just my
start.
2 cents here, if I may. I mean, I'm absolutely, as you know, I like facts, I like information. So I would absolutely love to have a presentation just to bring ourselves and everybody up to date on what the CPA even means, what the uses are. They might be more expansive than I realized from what you just said.
Yeah.
And as Rich says, we've got a lot of process issues to work through to make sure that even if we did adopt something like that when the opportunity comes, we know how to use it.
Right, it doesn't fall
So,
through the.
I think that would be great, because there certainly are areas of town where people, have said, oh, I wish we could have saved this or bought this. Property owners, especially with large lots or multiple lots put together, maybe getting older, might not have family to pass them down to. So we should be establishing these relationships now and putting some spare change aside if we can, whether that's through CPA or
Or
a
some other,
percentage of new growth every year we put aside, percentage of Loon Pond Lodge if we get these crazy revenues, whatever it might be.
Yep, I
But yeah,
agree with you, but I think, we need to start somewhere. And also, I've had conversations with people privately too, who are, willing to work on, so it's not just the Board of Selectmen, we have other people too around that are, coming from a different angle, so, I don't mind asking the hard question to get things going.
Well, the other thing that needs to be done, which we had with the conversation with the Open Space Committee, is that you need to establish some of these relationships with some of these organizations at the state level, trust organizations, reservation organizations, the Audubon organization. I mean, there's plenty of them out there, but you can't wait till the last minute because they only get so much funding available each year. So you have to be prepared if one comes forward and saying, yeah, we're interested in selling, some of these things. There is grant money available,
Yeah,
but
and
you can't wait till the 11th hour and say,
right, and
oh, we want to do this.
I do believe there's a lot of people living in Lakeville who have a lot of good intentions, but I think they're looking for leadership, and that falls on our lap. So that's
No,
what.
that falls on the Open Space Committee. That's what the Open Space Committee is all about.
True.
that's
Very
their
true.
charge. Let's give them a nudge.
Yeah, yeah,
We've tried to give them a nudge.
yeah. Well, I do know that, one member did reach out to the assessor's office to find, some sorts of, so that's what I'm saying, though. I'm saying, I think, we need to step it up in the leadership department and say, okay, we're here. As opposed to, well, see what you can put together and then bring it to us. So I'm here to guide and assist anyone I can. So I will get working on that bylaw committee tomorrow.
Okay,
All right,
anything else?
none for
Yeah.
me.
Wonder new? No, not for new.
Okay.
Actually, well, no, it's old business. Sorry.
Okay, old business, go.
Couple of quick updates. One, I believe I had brought to your attention a while ago, we had a number of streetlights out in town. We've been working with the DPW director to understand our path forward. He has been in contact with MGE to identify what options are in front of us. We thought we had an easier path with them. It looks like, unfortunately, the lights that were installed were not what you might consider residential lights. They're more like commercial parking lot lights. So in order to upgrade them or fix them, it's going to be a bit more involved. I just want the residents that have reached out to us to know that we are still looking into this. And now we're looking at a shorter term solution to fix the ones that are out while we figure out a longer term path.
Did you have a conversation today with Franklin to get an update, Brian?
I did.
Okay,
Yep.
Thank you. I just want to make sure you have the most up-to-date information.
Yep. He gave me a whole bunch of figures and options. So
Okay, good. That's the way Frank is.
Yep. Second item I wanted to bring up, just for clarity purposes, was on the town administrator search. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page here. So I believe we had charged the committee with bringing us 4 finalists, and then they hold back a 5th name should the event be needed. I didn't want to accidentally say, have it sent to us and say, here's all 4, and the asterisk next to them, the 5th one, that's our backup. I don't want anybody to feel like a backup, and I don't want to remove their anonymity should they not be a finalist.
No, as a ma-
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
As a matter of fact, even from the 12 finalists, no one has been informed that they are not selected yet until we, until we do the other interviews. So you're absolutely correct. We will get the 4 people. If someone backs out, an additional one will be, the only problem with that is getting that person on the agenda, so to speak. And getting it posted.
Right.
But we should definitely know by Wednesday night if someone is going to back out.
I'm just concerned over somebody losing their anonymity if they really didn't have, a horse in the race. And then, if they had applied numerous other places, their current employer, starts to have a different feeling.
I cannot speak to anything of what you said because it's answers to those comments have been discussed in executive session.
That's fine. I just want to make sure we're only getting 4. That's all.
Yes. Yep. We have the 4. And as long as you did bring up the town administrator search, we've had a conversation. So all the search committee people submitted their questions over the weekend to Clorinda, and Clorinda put them all together. And I spoke with Buzz today, and he said for the Board of Selectmen, we will offer the Board of Selectmen some of the same questions. And if there's other questions that you would like to see asked, if you could submit those to Clorinda. I guess.
Do we submit those before or after we've seen the list of existing questions?
Well, I mean, technically after, that way, so they're not redundant, but
Yeah.
if you know that there's some questions you definitely want an answer to, feel free to send them to Clorinda now. She can weed through them. I think she's got all this stuff memorized. She's been doing it. She was working late last night on all this stuff. So we just want the Board of Selectmen to have the opportunity to ask whatever questions they want as well. I do think that we have lots of fantastic questions. Again, I can't stress enough, this goes back to selecting, a search committee that represents different areas. So there's some great questions. But also, if Brian, that there's a question that you definitely want asked and you don't want it to fall through the cracks, I'd send it to Clorinda and she can, make sure that it's on the list. And then when the list comes out, of course, you can see the rest of them, which I will be signing a letter for the Board of Selectmen Wednesday evening after we are done with the preliminary interviews. That gives a review of everything. And it will include the 4 names, and that will be given to the Board of Selectmen chair on, I believe, Thursday morning, so that the posting can be done for Monday. And at that point, we will get all the submission materials and essays and everything else to the 2 of you. That way you can have a few days to review those.
Confidence is still high, it looks like.
Say that again?
Confidence is still high, it looks like.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
sign.
it is. We've got some really, really good candidates. The letter breaks that down, how many, 46, I think, candidates out of, we're looking at people that have all ranges of educations and education degrees, and it was a good search, it really was.
Okay, anything else under old business? I'd like to bring up the Something Brewing. Something Brewing is supposed to be out of there on February 28th. And I know, Leah, you said you were going to contact them. Have you had any discussion with them?
I have not had discussion.
Okay, we need to.
Yep.
Because they owe us $5,100.
Yep.
And So you gotta decide, whether we're gonna allow them to go in and take off their stuff without them paying our bill.
Right.
The contract that was signed, 2 years ago, there was no upfront payment, so we don't have anything to go after them.
There is no security deposit?
Nope, there was no security deposit, and I have no idea why. But so that's an issue.
Yeah, I've been through there recently, and I don't know that there's $5,100 worth of stuff in there, so I don't want to have to pay for a dumpster to put it all in.
Well, they were in there a few weeks ago. I don't know if that was before or after I had been in there, but we'll have to see what the deal is.
Okay, as far as the budget is concerned, there was a call with Darren Beal from the Finance Committee and myself with the Budget Subcommittee and the other towns having to do with the Old Colony budget, and they presented their budget. And a couple of things that hopefully will happen is that there's some stimulus money that's available to offset some of the assessment. We don't have a definite answer on that, but we have put a number in our budget of an increase of $249,000, and that's doable. But the original request from us was over $280,000, which we said is a problem. The Freetown Lakeville Regional School District is asking for a $985,000 increase, which is impossible. And they are meeting on Wednesday night. And once again, Darren and I attended the Regional Finance Committee meeting together with members from the school committee and members from Freetown. And so we'll see what that happens, but there's just no way we can fund that. Even in a good time, we can't fund that. So because our assessment was going up like 16%, and we just can't do that. So anyways, that's basically it where we are right now. Todd is still working, and the town accountant is still working on the budget books to get it all together. And but we're planning, as you know, help me out. We said March 9th and 10th that we're going to be setting up a meeting with department heads. Tracy and I are going to be doing that over the next couple of days.
Okay.
Sounds right. Yep, I've got those days blocked off, so that must be.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody else got anything?
No, I think last year, I'm sure they're gonna be done virtually, but even in person last year, we were able to kind of move pretty quickly through them. They were quite, the process wasn't very painful last year. I've sat through much longer ones, so I think we can do an efficient job again.
I was just gonna mention, go ahead, sorry.
Good, Brian.
I was just gonna say, when we get to the budgets, I know we had said we'll probably talk about this during the budget meetings, but I would like us to look at all the various like peer review accounts and see if it makes sense to keep them separated as they is per the individual boards and commissions, or if there's any simplification there that can be done to kind of put them together. So if there's one larger account with sub accounts per developers, they put monies in and or refund it out.
I actually, you have to keep them by individual developments, Brian.
That's okay.
Anyways, it gets a little complicated because the planning board could have a peer review for a site review, or conservation could have a peer review for a wetlands, review or whatever. They're all together in an account, and they're all listed, separately. Did you ever see that list, Brian?
The account numbers I saw, I'll have to go back and look, made it look like they were individually done without rolling up to like one larger one. So my thought process was, and help me out if this is a silly thought, which is if a developer is doing a development, would make sense, and they need to both go to planning and conservation, are there two accounts they have to give money to? Or is it one check, they do both site reviews, and then as necessary are refunded the monies?
Okay.
It just seemed weird if there was multiple accounts for one developer's development.
I think that's kind of changed, because it used to be that way, Brian, because they had two different peer reviewers, one for the planning board and one for the conservation. So if you take the Lakeville Hospital project, It's
Hmm.
all one. Okay.
Okay.
So, but, that would have to be discussed with the planning board and conservation to basically say we make it all one, one amount.
Right.
And then, because what happens is, as you know, as we're doing with the Lakeville Hospital project, that you start with X dollars, then you say, okay, here we are. And then you go to Y because you got an increase and so forth and so on. So the same thing could apply. I think that one of the things that should be done, and I know that the planning board is looking at this, is looking at the rules and regulations having to do with site plan review. They need to be changed and improved.
Oh, totally agree on that. Yep. Lots of
So,
opportunity.
Anyways,
All right. I'll try to follow up with Todd. It's possible I've misunderstood the account numbers, but if there's an opportunity to simplify that still works.
yeah, okay. I don't know if they're separate Concom and off the top of my head.
Yep.
But- Okay. That's it. Anybody else?
Capital plan. Do we still have we not gone and like fixed the peach barn or anything yet? That looks like it still hadn't been done. And wasn't that was before my time, I think.
I agree with you. Actually, meeting with Nate tomorrow morning because there's a number of projects that have funding for that need to get done and need to get completed. And so my plan is to summarize that, with Nate, because well, we're almost in the spring. We are in the spring just about any day now.
I hope
And
so.
these things, a lot of these things, might have to go out to bid, and so forth. And as I tried to explain to Nate, that we got to make sure you have enough money too, because you take the beach barn roof as an example, I forget the number. I want to say it's $25,000 or $28,000. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but is that going to be enough,
Right.
today, And we got the roof for the old town hall that needs to be done, and there's money available to do that. And then, of course, the highway barn office.
Mhm.
We don't need to go back to town meeting for the fourth time, to ask for more money. So
Better.
we gotta get a handle on. We're not going to get a handle on that.
Yep. Also on old projects, so I did owe the two of you an update on that security line item that we had. And we did just get some figures back this morning. I could send those on to you if you'd like. Lieutenant Malta has helped Nate and I with a walk around in one of the companies that's already handles the police department stuff, so we can get some raw figures. And what was nice is they kind of broke it up into different options and phases for us. And it looks like potentially got a couple of outstanding questions that are going back, but just to get some ballpark figures, it looks like that money that was set aside would get us like parts of a system for the town offices and buildings, but not the whole thing. So it's broken out into like intercoms for the doors. So if somebody had an appointment, they could come to the door and say, "Oh, I'm here for my 3 o'clock with treasurers," that kind of thing. So we're not constantly peeking around out of the clerk's office to see who's at the door and go over and talk to them. There was the card access for a few doors, the video surveillance in the key areas, as well as if you're aware of that door kind of between where Chief O'Brien sits and Clorinda sits, that one that kind of bridges the upstairs, replacing that and making that card access to help kind of fire have a better separation during off hours. I'll send that along to you guys. The four options all put together roughly were 50, 60, 78,000 altogether, but individual pieces of that fall either right around or under the 23, 24,000.
You do
So
know,
also
you do know that's my favorite door in town hall, right?
we'll install it on your house.
Thanks.
Just to follow up, just so you know, in the ADA survey, Serped is committed to doing it.
Great.
So we're ready to go. Excuse me, just so you know.
Fantastic.
And the time frame is sometime between July 1st and September 30th to get it completed.
Nice. Oh, I wonder if that would work out well for the old library for the next year.
Well, the way well, we hope to get to the old library quicker than that. The way that works is what they call a reimbursable grant.
Mhm.
Okay? So you do the work first, and then you submit it to get reimbursed.
All right.
So it's not like you apply for the grant first.
Yep.
You know, you do the work and then you try to get the money reimbursed.
Okay, so it's still a possibility. even
Possible.
Earlier.
Right.
Good to hear.
Okay, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second the motion.
All those in favor?
Baby and I.
Day aye.
The camera, aye. Okay, good night, thank you.